Okay, let's get started with editing our book, A Collection of Stories Written for Children. So the first thing we're going to do is take a look at how to zoom in and out of our document. Because this is a book, this first page is our cover. So just like anytime you go to a bookstore or the library and you grab the book off the shelf and you look at the front, that's the cover. So it's going to be important that we can zoom in and out so that you see the whole cover in one page, just to make sure it looks good. Okay. Up along our toolbar, where you see this 100% is a way that we can zoom our page. We have some options. We have fit, and a lot of times people think fit means fit everything in one screen, but that's not the case. Fit means fill the whole screen, so that's not going to work. Let's try 50%. 50% is not bad, but it is kind of hard to see what I'm doing here. So maybe 75. I still can't see everything. If the percent is off, 50 is too small, 75 is too big, you can click inside and actually type your own percent. For my computer, 60% fits perfect. You'll have to find your percent. So if I look at this page, there's a lot of what's called white space. White space is all this extra around the edges. You don't want that in a book cover. We want everything to be filled and look interesting. So this activity is where we're going to go in and make this cover look better. Okay. Now, being zoomed out isn't very helpful when we need to go in and edit some things, so I'm going to zoom back into my 100%. The first thing we need to do is add our name to the cover. Okay. We would be considered the editor because we're the ones going in, taking what's already been done and making it better, checking for errors, making things look nice. So we are the editor. So what you're going to do is you're going to click at the very end behind the illustrator's name. So make your cursor blink behind the illustrator's name, and you're going to hit enter. Hit it one more time so we have a space, and you're going to write edited by your name. You'll notice it's lined up on the left-hand side. The font size is the same. Everything is similar. We just added our name. Oops. Sorry about that. All right, next thing. Next thing to do is format the cover. So we have some formatting things we need to do with this page, okay? You have a checklist, and we'll go through the checklist and make sure you get everything done. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to change the title. Up across the top is our title. The title should be big and colorful and catch your eye. So we're going to change the font, and we're going to center it. Now, for the font, we want to make this so big that it gets 2 lines to itself. That way, it's very obvious that it's the title. We look for the number, usually it's 12, 11, those are the defaults. We want to change this font size. That's nice. If I went to 30, it does go on 2 lines, but it looks kind of odd to have so much on 1 line and then just the word children. So I can make the font bigger. And then I have 2 lines that look really nice. And I need to center. These are our alignment buttons. The one where the text is in the middle is our center. And remember, anytime you hover, a little box will pop up that tells you what that button does. The other thing you can do is go into your font area, pick a different font, make it look interesting. Now you see when I change the font, it goes to 3 lines. I don't want that, I want 2. So I've got to go back and change that again. The next thing we're going to do is center the picture. Don't change anything about the picture except just center it. Pictures act just like text. If we look up on our toolbar, I have a command for centering, just like I did for text. And when I click it, my hands go in the middle. The next thing you want to do is change the font and the size of your subtitle. This is our subtitle. It's just a little side note to help explain the title if someone doesn't understand it. So we just want to make that look big, make it look interesting, change the font. If you'd like to change the color, you can. Maybe you want it to coordinate with the picture of the hands. We could center the subtitle if we want. The only thing I don't want you to do is highlight this text. Sometimes there's an option, and I don't see it here, but sometimes there's an option to put color, like a colored box around this. Don't do that. It does not look good. We want this to look nice. We're not trying to make it look like, a bunch of colors threw up on the page. We want it to be appealing to the eye. That's the goal. Next thing, story titles. We need to make these story titles a bulleted list. If we look across our toolbar, I want to look for bullets or bulleted list. Well, there's a numbered list. There's my bulleted list. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select all 4 of my titles. To do that, I click my mouse at the front, hold and drag so I can select everything. You have a couple other ways you could do this too. Do you see how this bottom row got selected? That's no good. All I want are these 4 lines selected. And then I'm going to click bulleted list. If I make a mistake, I don't want it anymore, I click it again and it goes away. You'll also notice my bulleted list button is a little darker now, which is an indication that there's a bulleted list. And then we're going to change the font and the size. Now remember, as you work through this, you may want to check it out in full size just to see how everything looks. Do you see how the title's big, the subtitle is big, and then my stories are tiny? That's no good. This may be a point where you want to do the zoom out so that you can see everything. Now that's too big. My unbelievable trip to the store went into 2 lines. That's no good. That looks pretty nice. Maybe I want to go smaller so that it's not as big as the subtitle. It's up to you. You can adjust this however you like. So the next thing we have to do is with the author, illustrator, and editor's names, we need to write a line and change the font. So I'm going to select everything, and I'm going to look for the toolbar or the command that says write a line. Now hopefully you know by now these buttons right here are the alignment buttons. There's write a line. What that does, just like the picture, it moves all my text to the right. And then we need to change the size so they're just a little bit bigger. That way we see them nicely. Now I still have a lot of space down below here. We don't want all that. So the first thing we can do is change the size of this picture. If I click my picture, I get little handlebars. If I click and drag, it'll change the size of the picture. When you change these pictures, you want to drag from the corner because that keeps everything proportioned. Now, if you see when I made my picture bigger, see how I lost some of my text? That's no good either. We need everything on one page. So there's a fine line between too big, too small. Okay, I could take out these spaces if I wanted. You do have some options, but the one thing that has to happen is everything has to be on one page. And you can't have a bunch of extra room. The last thing you're going to do is you're going to tell me that you're done with this page by adding a comment. Now, where your mouse has been, or where your cursor is at, is where the comment will go. So I want you to make your cursor blink at the end of your name by edited by. You have two ways you can add a comment. If you notice, when my mouse is hovered, I have a little plus sign. I can add a comment there, or I can click comments up at the top. Now, that opens up a chat thread. I don't want that. So I could go to the insert menu and insert a comment. Or again, when I hover my mouse, I get the little comment. So what you're going to type is A4, because this is the official assignment 4. Done. That tells me you're finished. And click comment. So that tells me you're all done with that page. You do need to double check against the sample to make sure that you didn't miss any important tasks or you aren't totally off. It doesn't have to look exactly like the sample, but it should be very similar. Okay, the layout should be kind of the same. If words are to the left, yours should be to the left, those type of things. And that's it.